All right, guys, we're live here at Ed Studios Online in downtown San Francisco, and it's time for What's Really Happening with Luke Sauer. This is Season 1, Episode 1,
Yeah,
and here we go.
Walgreens. Should I retire Walgreens? Should I keep it? I should keep it, right? I should keep the nickname Walgreens.
That's a great question to
your
ask.
nickname?
Yeah. You didn't know that either?
No.
Wow. So that means we're on more of a more of a serious level, I guess, because that's the nickname I've had since I was high school.
Oh, okay.
And people.
Well, thank you for having me here on your first show.
Yeah. Well. Are you saying that she should change shirts?
No, I was saying you should introduce her.
Oh, yeah. Lyanna Lee, it's running for supervisor of the Sunset. This is your second time on. Last time you weren't doing the same situation you're doing now, right? Or were you on your way to doing that?
No, I had no idea I was going to be running. Actually, 2 years ago when I started United Peace Collaborative, we just wanted to patrol Chinatown and make sure that our elders are safe. And we do graffiti removal and keep Chinatown beautiful and clean. And I guess people have noticed. And actually, I was in several town hall meetings in Sunset. And actually, a group of activists came up to me and asked me to run for office. And this is over a year ago. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah.
So they said, well, think about it. And I thought about it for the last 12, 13 months. And with all the encouragement of the community members and leaders, I decided that I'll go ahead and do it. So I filed on June 10th and qualified as a candidate for District 4 supervisor candidate, yeah.
So what made you finally, sounds like it was a tug of war on your mind for a while. What made you finally, you just gave in, or what was it that
I was thinking about the greater good, the greater community beyond myself. I think that this is not my realm, and you've probably heard other people say before that Lyanna Lee does not fit the City Hall mold. I am not a politician. I am a community activist.
Yeah.
And I am a mother. I'm a single mother, and I raise my kids here in San Francisco for most part. So, it's just, for me, all about the community. I care about the seniors, the disabled, the children, and everybody, really, everybody in the city. It seems like everybody needs help in some certain way, and I'm here to listen to people.
Yeah, because we started in Chinatown and now Sunset. Your name's known all over the city, but so specifically Sunset you want to help out. But is that just...
Well, I think when it comes to helping people out, it really doesn't matter where you are, but when it comes to running, Sunset is where the people came to me and asked me to run.
Ooh, okay.
So I didn't get a whole group of people from the Bay View go, oh, you should run, even though I lived there for most of my life since 1986. It was the Sunset people who came to me and said, hey, we've lived here 2-3 generations, and we need somebody like you to represent us. So they came to me and asked me to run, and that's why I'm running there. I think if Castro asked me to run, I would do that. If Marina District asked me to run, I would do that. But they didn't come to me. It was the District 4 people that came to me.
Yeah, those are the people that wanted help.
Yes.
So finally, it seems like someone that if you reach out to them, you can get progress, and that seems like that's who you are.
Right.
Or you think, so you consistently stay that way?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can't help people who don't want to be helped, right? I've offered help to a lot of people, and they say, hey, I'm fine, I'm good, leave me alone. And I'm like, I don't force anything. But if people come to me and ask me for help, hey, all the better. One wants to help and one wants to offer the help. It's a perfect match.
So it's all about resources.
Right, it's about connecting.
Like, what's the problem out here with, like, homelessness? They're building up fencing now to keep out the drug dealers and the homelessness. Is that really the right way to go? Like, how could these things be solved? And it seems like most people just want to solve things temporarily.
Yeah. We definitely need to have long-term solutions. We have to have, a longer, vision, right?
Yeah.
Because homelessness isn't going to go away quickly, and it takes a long time for people to actually get out of homelessness once they get into that situation. So we need to have programs that help them get back on their feet, help them to become sober. I think one of the biggest things, the two biggest reasons why people are homeless right now are either drug addiction or mental health issues. And I mean, nobody is really exempt of that. It could happen to any one of us. It really could happen to any one of us. And I've met people who have went down that road and who found their way and became sober and now are living good lives. And some of them are great examples for our society. Tom Wolfe, for one, is one of those people, and he's doing great right now. And we need more people like him who are willing to finally snap out of it and decide that, I want a better life. I don't want to be on the streets anymore, and help others too.
Yeah, if people see help, and how, so mostly sunset, how in the sunset could that be solved specifically? So people could go, all right, the sunset, that's the place. I mean, our sunset definitely already looks better than a lot of other areas. But where could people go in the sunset for resources?
Oh, there's actually quite a few resources in Sunset. There's a lot of nonprofits there. There's a lot of churches there. There's a lot of different organizations that are already existing that could help people out there become sober and live productive lives.
Well, yeah, I definitely feel like you should definitely get the vote, Lyanna Lee. Well, you served our country.
Yes, I did.
I
Active duty for 11 years. Yeah.
11 years. Wow. No, I don't think many people can. There's the politician thing. Not many other people can say that. And who's an activist, meaning you don't have to get thrown out of bed to help people. Like you actually went along the streets, and is that still going on? And so.
Well, United Peace Collaborative is still definitely very active. And I do this for free. We don't charge anybody. People are welcome to donate to unitedpeacecollaborative.org. But, we don't get any government funding. There's no mandatory fees or anybody. So it's just for a group of people who want to help the community, and whoever wants to donate does that. And that's how we've been running United Peace Collaborative. So, and I've actually stepped down as the president last month when I filed to run for office. So there's a new president right now, and he will be taking over all the responsibilities of United Peace Collaborative.
Okay. That's what helps, to be part of the community. Mm-hmm. You actually walk around. I never see any politicians really walking the streets, being part of the people. When I went to your fundraiser, it seemed like everyone was one with the people. Good vibe. Everyone's, and you could actually relate.
And most of them actually live in Sunset. Most people that you met at my party actually live in Sunset. The residents there, many of them asked me to run for office from the beginning, and are now supporting me, and pretty much will come to all of my events. They will help me knock on doors, make phone calls, do text banking. Some of them lived there for many years, and some 2 or 3 generations, and they want to make sure that Sunset is a beautiful and peaceful place for them to live.
Yeah, I think one of the problems recently is the roads.
Yeah.
The highway out there. That's by the beach area, right?
Yeah. The Great Highway. So I've grown up in San Francisco since 1979, and for me, it has always been open. It's never been closed until the pandemic. So, and I kind of understand, the closing during that time, but now that, we're almost back to pre-pandemic conditions, which opened the Great Highway so people can use it, especially for people like veterans, disabled, seniors. They really need to have access, especially if they're getting, driven from one place to another. If, for example, myself, I used the VA hospital, and I know there are a lot of veterans that use the VA hospital that are coming down from either Daly City or Sunset over to the Richmond. Now, instead of going through the Great Highway, they have to find different ways to get to the VA hospital. And sometimes even the roads in between the Golden Gate Park are closed. So instead of getting there straight in, 15, 20 minutes, now we're spending 30, 40 minutes to find our way to the VA hospital. And if it's a life or death situation, that could be the end of somebody's life. Yeah,
so is it easy for emergency vehicles to get through there? So that could be a big problem there.
Yeah, it is a big problem.
What is it that makes them want to, or Is there an ending date for that? They just leave it there for the pandemic, and that's...
Well, the current supervisor had just renewed something to keep it closed for the next 3 years.
Oh, we need to get that guy out of there.
Yeah, I think it's like a hybrid deal, but I think that it is time for us to maintain the Great Highway and the walkways around it and open it up for use, because it's just really inconvenient for everybody that needs to use it. But not only that, but it diverts traffic into the streets where people live, which causes more pollution, which causes noise pollution, air pollution. It gives, it's bad for the health, bad for the environment, and people spend more time on the road, which means more traffic congestion.
Yeah, especially in the city. I mean, it's already known as traffic congestion. You say this guy's out of touch.
Totally. I mean, just imagine if your commute was normally 15 minutes, now it's become 30 minutes. Now you're dealing with anger, depression, road rage, all kinds of other social issues. So this is why it's so important for us to open the Great Highway.
Yeah. So, what's the mindset? Who do we want to vote for? The mindset of, well, they're upset, but at least no one's getting sick, because that's why they closed it. Versus let the people live.
Well, I think that's kind of misleading, though, because they're having all kinds of parties there. Sometimes people are masked, sometimes they're not. So, I mean, they could be spreading all kinds of...
The fact that people just can't get through a road, it makes no sense of how that cures this pandemic thing.
You're absolutely right. It makes no sense at all. Yeah.
I mean... People have to. So he's out of touch, and so this guy's running again, or
yeah. He's almost done with his first term, and I'm challenging him, and I intend to take his next term.
Okay, well, people as I saw there at that party, there's no way he should be in there.
Well, we'll see. The voters will sound off in the next 2 and 3 months.
So I haven't even heard of so what are your strong points going against? Well, we already know that's a strong point right there, the highway.
So I think my strongest points are, number one, public safety. I think people know my track record. Not only did I serve in the U.S. Army for 11 years, since 18 years old, I served for the fire department, and I've worked in neighborhood services department as well as solid waste department. I have started the United Peace Collaborative, which is a safety patrol as well as graffiti removal. And a lot of people are really happy about the graffiti removal, not just the residents, but also the business owners and community leaders, because they don't want to see their community looking like, really bad with the graffiti.
And I saw something recently where they find businesses now. There's a business in San Francisco. He was getting fined because his building is trashed because of graffiti, but that's not his fault.
Totally not. So, I think the graffiti situation right now in San Francisco is a total, basically the city is victimizing the victim again. Yeah. So they're getting victimized by the taggers, right, that vandalized their property, and then now they're fined by the city. And each citation is $350 at minimum, depending on the size of the graffiti and the property. And then they have to hire a commercial graffiti remover, which they usually charge $550 or more, right?
Probably charge the business.
Plus, after exactly, and after they get it cleaned up, they have to have a reinspection fee, which is a minimum of $150. So you're looking at close to about $1,000 or more, just for that. And you're actually being a victim of the tagger, and now you're also being the victim of the city. So I have ideas to propose programs to tackle this problem, and we've actually been using this program in San Francisco, Chinatown, in conjunction with DPW. So DPW actually trained our volunteers to do graffiti removal, and we have been working with the property owners in Chinatown to do a hybrid program where they could donate, a very small amount of money, whenever they want and whenever they can. We don't have any like set monthly payments or anything like that. And when they are able to donate paint or any small donations to us, then we try to negotiate with the paint companies to get paint to match it, to paint their property. And it's been working out really good, and the people in Chinatown really love it. And actually I got several requests from Sunset as well as other neighborhoods to clean up their neighborhood as well.
Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. People that want to find small businesses for things that aren't their problem, for them pretty much getting attacked. Mm-hmm. And those are the other supervisors, that the type of mentality we'd be dealing with, versus Lyanna Lee right here. You want to defend small businesses.
Yeah, well, I say that anybody who wants to put their money savings, their hard-earned savings into starting a business, they need to have support from us. At least not for the city to attack them. I mean, we could be uplifting them instead of hurting them, Some people work their whole lives to save enough to open a store. Like myself, I used to have a restaurant on Mission and 30th, the Melody Cafe, and I've worked pretty much my whole life to save up the money to open that restaurant. And
I used to go there.
Yeah.
I used to live over the Glen Park area.
And I'm sure you tried my falafels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I used to live in my car over there in Glen Park, so I had plenty of time to try out the restaurants. It was a little small, cozy place. As a business owner, why would you want to get your windows broken into, your building just tagged up and not be protected? Or at least not fined for it. And it's kind of like the city bullies people in a way.
Yeah, it's actually a really sad situation. Actually, the 5 years I was a restaurant owner, there was a bullet hole in my window.
Yikes.
My storefront was tagged several times, and my insurance has a $550 or $500 deductible, and the window itself was over $1,000, so they only covered half. I still have to, put half the money out to put the window up. And then I had to do my own graffiti removal. So I had to get like a lot of extra paint. Almost every week I would just go out there and repaint my store every week. It's quite ridiculous.
You got to do it yourself.
I got to do it myself, otherwise I get fined. So, what can I do? I can't wait for the city to come help me, because they're always backlogged for 3 to 4 months. And you just can't wait that long,
At least we got rid of that chest of Bodine.
Oh, yeah, chest of Bodine.
I mean, that was mostly because of you. It seemed like you rallied people together, and
well, it's definitely a big team effort. A lot of people put their heart and soul into getting Chester Bodine out of office, and boy, are we glad. And I heard that he might be running again in November.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Do you think he'll?
We'll see.
What would make you think you could run again if people hated you that much?
Well, we'll see. I mean, August 12th is his final filing date. So if he doesn't put his name in there before August 12th, then we'll be in the clear. But if he does put his name in there, hey, we could just got to mobilize everybody that recalled him to make sure that we vote again.
Yeah, for me, it seems like I always think, well, the next person could be really bad too, but in a way they can't, because if the people. If it's known that the people didn't like you, or the last person, it's known why. So, Of course, the next person, even if they aren't good, they're not going to act like it.
Right. I think, well, the new DA is Brooke Jenkins, and I think she is very different than Chester Bodine, right? I mean, she is, she not only looks different, right? She's a lot prettier than Chester Bodine, by the way.
Yeah.
She's actually the same age as him, but she looks like 10 years younger than him.
Yeah, no, she looks way better in a suit than he does, for sure, yeah.
But she's super smart, and not only that, but she really cares about the community. A year ago, Jace Young, the 6-year-old, he was killed on 4th of July. And 2 days after that, Jerome Mallory was killed in Bayview. And back then, I had already moved away from Bayview, but I go there frequently because my father still lives in Bayview. We've been living there since 1986, and so I go to my father's house very often. And when this happened, I went out there and I helped Jason Young, who's the father, put posters all over 3rd Street on the poles to let people know that we're looking for the killers, and and they were arrested later on. And same for Jerome Mallory when he was killed. Robert and I and a couple other UPC members, we went out there to march for him. We marched from close to Canada State Park to the police station on William Street. And so, and these are cases that Brooke Jenkins was also involved with. Actually, she is a relative of Jerome Mallory, who was killed on July 6th. So, yeah, I think very, very different situations where Chester Bodine's family, they're more of the, they're not the victims of any system.
No.
They tend to be, in my view, that they were more people who were plotting something, and of course they killed 3 people, right? The father and the mother, Catherine Bodine and Dave Gilbert killed 2 police officers and a security guard in New York.
Yeah, it's amazing how his father got out before when he was about to get recalled, right? Or right before Cuomo left office. That's the deal. Huh?
That was Cuomo's last, middle finger to the rest of the world when he left
especially
office.
Us.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Especially to us, and especially to the victims of the families of David Gilbert.
I feel like when I look at her, she seems more like she has actual emotions versus him. He looks like if something happened, he'd want to defend the person behind it, like that wasn't the victim.
Right.
Like, you're supposed to be defending us.
Right.
Like, I really don't know what they could do with the car break-ins and all that, but.
Very little right now because we are 500 officers short.
Don't make us.
There's just not enough time for them to.
Don't make us victims. That's all. I mean, because I used to get my car broken into all the time. I got stolen, and then it costs more to get it out because it was retrieved by police than just if I wanted to negotiate with a tow yard. It just never made sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it really shouldn't cost anything at all if like the crime-ridden city is the reason why my car was stolen or broken into.
Right. You're supposed to. There is a number you're supposed to call in the DA Victim Services, and they're supposed to be able to reimburse you for a certain amount to help you, when you're a victim. But the biggest thing that
they seem pretty nonchalant about that. But when I got ran over, they contacted me right away.
Oh, you got ran over?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, I got ran over. When I got robbed and ran over in by the other studio.
Wow.
They called me right away, so that was cool. But it's a weird. You said the victim services, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard actually saying I was because I guess if you're at victim services, you gotta say you're a victim.
Right.
I always felt so weird.
Nobody wants to be a victim. It sounds weird to even call yourself that.
But I was like, well, you guys will help me pay for stuff? Yeah, I was a victim. I mean, I was. Just not easy to admit that as a man.
Yeah.
But, it's weird, because every day there was 21st and Harrison. Every day it was busy. A lot of stuff going on. Except that one day, it was like, I'm like looking around, help.
My.
Like the only day nothing. It was weird. But I do feel like in the city we come across a lot of things too much where we get desensitized.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people get attacked and so many things in front of me in public, and I feel like that's why people don't help that person because they just it's the city.
That's kind of what we teach against. Like, for us is see something, say something, observe, record, report, right? At least have the evidence so that if you ever need to go to court, then you could be a witness and you could provide the evidence to the attorneys.
Yeah. Well, these guys, the license plate was shaded and and they wore same clothing and I mean, there was a lot of video, but
Right.
It was a cool video. I kind of want the video, but it's still like some kind of evidence thing for them. Like if I guess if I were going to open a case, but I mean at least have me let me go viral because I I was hanging onto the car.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was trying to go after the guys, because the problem was they robbed me when I was getting out of my car.
Oh.
And I was like getting shoved around. And I'm a man, so I was like, I'm gonna go get these guys. so I ran after them. And thugs out here, they don't care to speed off. They don't.
You're
care.
so lucky to be alive.
In a way.
People get shot and killed.
But so these guys, they were just driving off, chilling, and next thing I know, I'm running, and then they just see me just grab onto their door, and then they start going a little faster, and you see me on video flying through there, and then I hop in there, start punching the guys. It feels so cool, I'm punching them. I'm like, boy, I'm like one of those guys in the movie. I'm gonna beat these guys up, but then they kind of stopped the car. Then I thought to myself, wait, what's next? What's next? Do I just beat all these guys up?
How many were there?
There were 4, and then that's
Wow.
then that's when they threw me to the ground. And I look up, and their car's just running me over.
And they missed you.
No, I have titanium in my leg. Oh yeah, I thought
my God.
thought I was sharing this at the party. See, that's how unemotional I am. That I was sharing this, but I wasn't like, no one got it. Like this is something tragic. That I don't know. I don't really. I should at times I should get more emotional. I'm so weird emotionally that when it happened and I was laying in the street, I was still trying to be a man about it. I was like, nah, I'm not. Okay, all right, that's it. I'm getting emotional for a moment there.
Oh.
But and it's weird when you're bleeding out. You're so hungry. They took my cookies.
You're like, give me some cookies.
Yeah, when the cops came, I was like, but I'm just so hungry. They took my cookies. They took my cookies. It was like meal replacement cookies too, and it was so they just. Actually a car pulled up after I was shouting for a while, and I was like, no, get them. I mean, I could bleed out here, still be all right. But yeah, no, the cop actually stayed with me the whole time while I went in surgery, and came on the last day before I left.
Did you get his name and number and thank him?
I thanked him. I got his card somewhere, but I did thank. I mean, I knew he's San Francisco, so there's only so much you could do.
Yeah.
I mean,
was this during Chesa's time, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So these guys
I'm
were
so
having
glad
a
he's
field
out of
day.
office. I am so glad he's out of office, and let's make sure he never ever comes back to San Francisco politics again.
These guys were having a field day, yeah. Well, what it is I notice it starts in the daytime. They roll out of bed and they go, let's see how many people we could rob, and then go back home to our government housing.
Right? They're thinking, Chesa's not going to prosecute me. I'm going to go do it in San Francisco.
I've done security, and these people, I see how these people operate. Someone drops them off, and they go around all day.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Scoping.
to all the stores in that business, and then there's the ones that they meet up in the parking lot. Have their coffee. All right, let's split up and go rob and beat people up. All right, and they just go from place to place.
Wow.
Yeah, well, when you got nothing to lose, I guess, why not? I guess, but I went to this place called DexaFit. They did a body scan the other day, and I realized, they told me that my leg is actually going to be stronger than it was before.
Wow.
So I guess titanium, I'm waiting until it finally heals. Till I'm a year in, August 29th, and then I'm going to start just kicking people that deserve it. Because it's like, I guess titanium means that I will feel like they're getting hit with a bat or something.
Right? So if I ever lose my arm, I get titanium, and then I'll go like this.
Yeah,
It'll be okay.
from what they said, because she put this scan thing over me, and she said, yeah, your bones are good, but she kind of cheated with the titanium. I said, what's that mean? She said, well, right there, you're stronger than if you didn't have it.
Every time you go through security checkpoints, does it go beep, 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 beep,
No,
beep?
that's just metal. That would be the metal. I got the titanium.
Oh, it doesn't.
I slip right through. I have a
Wow.
weapon in my leg that just slips right through security.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know.
So yeah. So if they ever start some problems, if TSA has a problem with someone else, all of a sudden someone pulls out something and starts getting people, I'm gonna say, I got this. and I'll reflect the bullet with my leg, and I'll just start like kicking people, and well, hopefully, yeah.
You're gonna be like $6 million man, right?
That would be nice.
Just slower.
Just low.
Older.
Bionic. He was bionic. Yeah, I forget bionic these millions. So I tried for that, the Mega Millions, but I didn't make it. What would you do? Did you go for the Mega Mill?
I actually did. I bought $20.
Dang.
I didn't win though. That's okay.
So I didn't.
That's my donation to whatever they're gonna do with the money.
So I'm not too bad. I did $2. You did a whole 20.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I should have done a donate. I should have done a pool where I'll donate a certain amount somewhere. If I win, maybe people will give me money for the lottery, and I'll say, well, if I win, I'm only taking 1 million, and then everyone donates to me, and then I donate to the.
Yeah. I mean, if I won, for sure that money's going to be shared. There's just no way. I mean, I don't want to keep that much money around me or in my bank account.
Oh, no.
That's just like asking people to, rob you somehow, right? I just give most of it away.
Probably just wear an Iron Man suit and, ask them to rob me. So
do you live in District 4?
No, I'm in San Carlos. Oh,
you're in San Carlos. Okay. Well, if anybody listening right now lives in District 4, make sure you go check out my website. It's www.lyannalouie.com. And make sure you hit the volunteer or the donate button and get involved, because this is going to be a very important election. It's probably going to be one of the most important elections in your lifetime, because, you're talking difference between lawlessness and somebody who actually cares about the community. And I'm here to make a difference. And if you want to give me a call, I do answer my phone. It's 415-310-8412. I shall repeat. It's 415-310-8412.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're again. How's the campaign going?
It's going great. We had our first launch party on June 19th, which was a Sunday. It was Father's Day, and it was a Warriors game. So we thought nobody would show up, but we were surprised that over 100 guests showed up, and more than half of them donated to the campaign. So that was really heartwarming. Yeah, and now just more and more people are showing up, and we even raised enough funds to get a headquarters. We have a headquarters that's located at 907 Taraval Street, and the cross street is 19th Avenue. It was a former tattoo shop, and it was vacant for quite a long time, so I think the property owner was really happy that somebody wanted to rent his place.
All right, so, and I guess we're about to be done here.
We do have one question from social media, if you'll take it.
Yeah.
They were talking about lawlessness, and they were talking about the different media over the last couple months that have really shined a light on the city's issues, including our past DA, right, that just got recalled. They're wondering if media is helping. This alone in San Francisco, we've lost 30-something CVS stores because of retail and lawlessness. Now, there's been people like John Oliver with Last Week Tonight, as well as Bill Maher on Real Time with Bill Maher, that has actually had features over the last month and a half featuring basically UN Plaza and how that's become a fentanyl stop, as well as a place for lawlessness and people to bring drugs and alcohol and stolen goods to.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of journalism is so that, they show the rest of the world what it's really like out there on the ground. I mean, if they're out there showing what's happening at a UN Plaza, what's happening in Tenderloin, what's happening in South of Market, and they're doing a good job of it, that's what their purpose is to help people understand what's actually going on. And there's no reason why we should hide the truth.
Thank you. I think that absolutely answers. And back to you, Luke. Sorry, I just had to add that in before you.
Oh, I was just gonna ask how. So you can't. I don't know how. Obviously, I think it's just a Tenderloin thing. We got the Urban Alchemy. Did you notice that? You know about that program?
I have heard of them, and I've seen them out there.
It's citywide.
It's citywide, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly how much money they get. Some $40 million or something like that to run their, operations in San Francisco. So, and I think there's very little oversight. So I would be, a proponent for somebody who would introduce legislation for oversight of all the nonprofit programs in San Francisco. We have over 6,517 nonprofits that serve many different reasons, and many of them are definitely very useful and needed, but there are some that are just getting a lot of money, and we're not sure exactly what they're doing with it. So I think there definitely needs to be some accountability.
Absolutely.
All right.
I agree with that too.
All right. So, and last words, besides,
Yes.
vote for Lyanna Lee.
November 8th, 2022. Make sure you vote before then. So you should be getting your vote by mail vote by mail ballot October 8th-ish. And you have about a month to turn them in. And the last day to turn in your ballot is November 8th. Or you could vote on Election Day in person at your polling stations near your home or at the City Hall. So, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at 415-310-8412 or go to my website at www.lyannalouie.com.
All right. It's great for having you on. And we got Pastor Ford coming on next here.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right.
So don't go away, guys. We have more of what's really happening in just a moment or two. And we're doing a little bit of schmoozing here in the studio. Thank you again, Lyanna Lee, for stopping by Ed Studios Online.
Oh, and so it doesn't keep on going?
You keep on going. You're live, man.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
I'm going to just keep doing what I do, guys.
All right. We got Pastor Ford here. I'm a church, it's the Door San Carlos. I do Door San Mateo if I'm going on the YouTube.
Yeah, San Carlos is where the church is, but we were the Door San Mateo, and we were doing that for so long, 3 or 4 years, that we just kind of expanded it to the Door San Mateo County, which is basically kind of including that whole area, and that is kind of where we reach anyways. So all the way from San Mateo out towards, we have people coming to church further south. So
Yeah, but it caught my attention that it's right behind a place that needs a lot of prayer. Lucky. Gosh, that did help. It's right behind. I tell you, a lot of us have we get in there and that's the feeling. Just but also we met at it was you do that's the street outreach. You pass out the flyers at the.
Well, in Redwood City, we've been out there. We try to go out there. We're actually going to be going out there every Friday, and we'll do a little bit of music, and then street preach.
Yeah.
The whole idea, I preached a sermon about that on Sunday. The whole idea of street preaching is God wants to speak to people. I wasn't raised a Christian. I was raised in a non-religious home. And I never heard the gospel. I never heard about Jesus. And so out of all that, years and years and years, I had to formulate my own beliefs on God and who God was. And so, like everybody, I had my beliefs, based on my experiences. And then a friend of mine had become a Christian and he shared with me about Jesus and about being saved and about heaven and hell and all that, all concepts I'd never heard before. I know being in the United States, it might be hard to believe that could be the case, but it was definitely the case.
Well, we're so free out here.
Yeah. But there are churches on every corner all over the place.
Oh,
and, I just, I never met anybody like that. That was the main thing. And so when my friend began to share with me, I didn't need a religion, because I had formulated my own ideas of who God was. And to me, that's all it was anyway. It was a belief. Nobody knows the truth. Nobody knows who God really is. Everybody just makes up their own ideas. And
nobody does in a way, right? Like, no one 100%.
See, that's what I'm saying. Is that's where I was.
Yeah.
Is that same kind of thinking. But what happened was this friend of mine, as he began to share with me about Jesus and about salvation, he explained to me, he said, it's not about religion. It has nothing to do with religion at all.
Relationship.
God is a person, and Jesus came as a human being to represent God on the earth so that we could know God. And that was the whole idea. It just, the story becomes pointless when it becomes a religion, so, and that's how I felt about it, was that it was this religion where people would just simply believe things. And, like
but you're not alone.
That you made of, nobody really knows 100%. Well, if you think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense. If there really is a God and he really is real and he really did come to the earth, then there should be somebody somewhere who's 100% confident, that they had met God. Somewhere through the ages. I'm not talking about like today. But somewhere through the ages, somewhere somebody must have had 100% understanding. I met God. I met him. His name is Jesus. He came down to the earth. He became a man. I knew him. He died on a cross for my sins, blah, 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 all that. Well, see, that's what I never heard. I never heard of a person like that until I was introduced to the Bible, which I didn't even know that the Bible had anything to do with that. And the Bible, especially the New Testament, is a record of people that's exactly what happened.
And how old were you when
this happened?
Yeah.
I was 21.
Okay. Ooh.
And
that's that age where you're ready to just start drinking and go wild.
Well, I was already there. Yeah. See, I was
okay.
that was already my life. I was already out and just experiencing the world. Like I said, because I wasn't raised in a Christian home, we didn't have any boundaries. It was just do what you want. Live how you want to live. I mean, we had goals and things. Like my dad he owned his own company, and we were a respectable family. Just from the standpoint of being a respectable family, not because of God or anything like that. It was just simply we were a family that was, hey, you know what? Don't waste your life. Do something with your life. So I went to school. I got good grades. I got out of high school with a 3.8 grade point average. I was going to become an electrical engineer, and started discovering life a little bit. Becoming 18, going out partying and doing various things. And so in doing all that kind of stuff, like I said, along the way, I'm formulating my own ideas about who God is. And when I become a Christian, that night, this friend of mine, he invited me to go to church. They gave an opportunity to receive Jesus. And so for me, I said, this is, if this is true, I want to know. It wasn't a thing of where I was wanting to become a Christian or wanting to quit the life that I was living.
Okay.
It was nothing like
I'm
that.
gonna check it out.
If that was the idea. If God is real, I want to know him. Who wouldn't? That's kind of how my thinking was. Who wouldn't want to know if God was real, if he is real? If it's as simple as just simply praying and asking God to make himself real to you, then why resist that? And that was the thing that I could never fathom, and still to this day cannot fathom, when I offer that same thing to other people and I say, listen, Jesus is only a prayer away. He can come into your life. He can make himself real to you, and then you take it from there. He's real. He's a person, and you can know him personally. And take it from there. And the number of people that say, no, not for me, not for me. And I think, what is there to be for or not for? It's just simply...
They've had a bad experience.
That's usually what it comes down to.
Oh, you dang religious people.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's often what the case is they've had a experience, and sadly, we do, like I said, we're out in Redwood City for the last couple of Fridays, and I've talked to a number of people over the last, just in the last couple of weeks, and every single one of them said the same thing. You know what? The reason why I stopped going to church is because I had a bad experience with Christians.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is so ridiculous. Why is this the case? And I know why the case is, because I've been around for a little bit now as a Christian. I've been a Christian 40 years. I just turned 60. And so the
wow, happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks. So the whole deal is really that you're not talking about Christians. You're talking about religious people. They don't know either. They don't know what they're talking about either. They think they know what they're talking about because they've been trained.
You just said Christian, and that sounds religious.
I'm a Christian. That means I'm a great guy. I'm a great person. It means I've got morals. It means that I'm, respect me. It means a million things to a million different people.
It means you think you're perfect. Yeah. That's what that means. But different. It's weird. The moment you say Christian, I mean, not all. Yeah, well, I was going to say a lot of Christians aren't living that good, but...
because there is the way that Jesus came and he lived is the way that he wants us to live. And there's no arguing this point. It's again, a lot of these things are because religion. It's to me, it's humorous. It's tragic, but it's humorous because it's been so long. I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little bit numb to the same old story over and over again. But the number of people that try to convince me that their ungodly lifestyle is actually okay with God.
And they should. You don't seem like the guy that's nervous if people are gonna debate you.
No, not at all. I don't mind that. But the thing that's silly is why are you arguing with me that your ungodly lifestyle is okay with God? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, if it's an ungodly lifestyle, then it's ungod. I mean, it's as simple as that. So to argue, well, it's okay. It's okay for me to drink and to smoke and to go out and to do this and to do that and do the other thing and sleep around and blah, 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 and these kinds of things. When you yourself know that those things are ungodly, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody has to tell us these things. We know they're ungodly. You don't go around. We don't go out and, I know some people do, but most people don't go out and shout their sin, tell the whole world. I just want everyone to know how many different women I've slept with. I just want, especially as a woman, I just want every guy out there to know that I'm available. If you just, treat me right and I'll let you sleep with me. We don't do those kinds of things.
Especially as you get older, then it kind of marks you in a way. Because I was thinking, I was glad when I was in my 20s. Yeah, I'm getting drunk. Oh, whatever, women and whatnot. But that's in your 20s. But a lot of people still keep that same path, but they don't shout it. It's more like it marks them in a way.
Nobody really shouts it. And I know there'll be people that will say that they do, but it's always in a crowd with other people going, something like that, and they're just being a part of the crowd.
With their own.
But in our hearts, we know the truth. It's inside of us. We know when we're doing things we shouldn't be doing, but to try to justify that and say that God is okay with this, it's just plain illogical to do that. I mean, it's not as an intelligently thinking person to try to do that just doesn't make any sense at all, because we know it's wrong. And why in the world would we think that something that is wrong is okay with the creator of the universe? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of thinking there's no reason to not debate you on certain things, but not like a debate, but just asking questions.
Yeah.
Because if it comes,
I love when people ask questions.
Well, that's how we got started. But if it becomes like God this, God that, well, why don't you talk to God? I mean, if they think something's wrong with you, God, well, God says it's okay to do this. Well, I mean, then talk to God about that. That's you're just the one carrying on the word in a way, and hey, talk to my boss.
In a sense, I mean that is really the truth of things. Is and because I was not raised as a Christian, and after becoming a Christian, I realized how simple and logical the whole thing is, and it's not a million rules and regulations and ways out and get out of hell free cards and all the kinds of things that you see all mixed into religion today.
If you repent, you're good.
But I mean, that's the thing is you have to repent. What repent means, it literally, it's understanding. It's understanding that, hey, I can't live like this. That's what genuine repentance is. Repentance isn't, I'm sorry for what I've done. Genuine repentance is I realize that this is the wrong way to live. I shouldn't be living this way. Our problem isn't so much realizing that. Our problem is that we don't think it's physically possible to live any other way. And that's where I changed. That's what happened when I asked Jesus if he was real, to make himself real to me, as I discovered that he's the one who does the changing. And my life changed that day, that night. I mean, literally, it was that night that my life changed. The next day, I was a full-blown 100% Christian.
Well, yeah. See,
not drinking, not smoking, not partying, not cussing, not doing.
Well, you can have a drink. Well,
no, listen.
God was telling you different.
Yeah,
See,
you're missing. You're missing the point. I woke up the next morning.
Yeah, you know what you would. Yeah.
I wasn't doing things. This wasn't issues of doing things. This wasn't me saying I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to.
Okay.
It wasn't I'm not going to. It was I am not. I'm just not. I'm not going to. I'm going to cut back, or I'm going to do
Yeah.
this, or what's wrong with this, or something. There was no desire anymore.
So
There
this is-
just wasn't a desire to drink or smoke or swear or do any of those.
This is what's good about this. Kind of like how they say it's even better for some adults to go to college versus when you're a kid, because you learn more, you're more serious. Yeah, I went to Christian camps growing up. I was baptized when I was a baby, but you got the fire later in life, and then boom, it stuck more than that person did. Just like
Well,
I'm on the path.
Right.
I went to youth groups.
Yeah, because I was old enough, and that's I see that a lot of people. Most of the people that I talk to who are not any longer interested in religion is people who grew up in it. It's more often than not it's people who grew up in it, and the reason why that is simply because of what you just described, is that their experiences at church camps and things like that is all these compromises. All these, you should be like this, you should be like this, you should be like this. But then the observation of that real time amongst religious leaders and members of the congregation, you begin to start looking around and think, does anybody really live like that? I mean, is that really how people live? Is there anybody who's really serious about this? And the sad fact is that in many churches, the answer is no. That is not even the reason why they go there. They go there simply because they're hoping that somehow this counts for eternity.
Yeah,
It's
I did my
like
good.
I said, a get out of hell free card.
I did my good deed.
Yeah. I punched my time card in church on Sunday, and so I should be good now when I stand before God. And yet the scary part of it is when you just read the Bible tells us that doesn't count. It very clearly, Jesus himself, his own words, he said, there are going to be many who are going to call me Lord, and they're not going to enter into heaven. And they're going to say, but wait a minute, didn't we punch our time card?
Yeah,
That's not
well,
the words he
right.
uses. But didn't we go to church on Sunday? Didn't we do this, do that? And he's going to say, but I never knew you.
I went every Easter.
Yeah. and that idea of never knowing.
Well,
See, that's the thing. I never knew you. The number of times that I talk to people and I try to talk to them about a personal, intimate relationship with Jesus, it always becomes a redefinition of the words personal and intimate. Oh, I have a personal, intimate relationship with Jesus. And then my next question is, okay, explain that to me. Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I remember.
Could you imagine? So could you imagine? You've been married to some woman for 30 years. This is an example. And then, I have a personal, intimate relationship with my wife, and she's standing right there. And then you say, "Oh, really? Tell me about it." And then you go, "I don't want to talk about it."
Oh wow,
Oh,
that's a
what do
good
you think your
one.
wife's going to think of that? You think your wife's going to go, "No, yeah, that's a good idea because this is private between him and I." No, she's going to say, "Oh, you don't want anybody to know about our relationship?"
Might be in trouble.
Yeah. Because if you have a personal, intimate relationship with somebody, you want to talk about it. And so really, people who don't want to talk about a personal, intimate relationship are covering up for the fact that they don't have a personal, intimate relationship. And that's the big problem.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying, because then they'll see it on you.
Yeah, it's just
and-
there. I mean, it's like, people ask me about my wife. I don't go, I don't talk about my wife.
But-
that just doesn't make any sense, does it?
Talk about anything else.
Yeah, we can talk about other things, but I don't talk about my wife.
Yeah, that's off.
You know.
Off limits. Well, I mean, there's a lot of, and I feel like because we're sitting in San Francisco, there's a lot more people that would be judgy. How about let's sell it? Well, heaven and hell. Why are people? Some people joke around. They're like, "Hey, hell ain't."
Right. Well,
let's break
I
it
think,
down.
like what you said about the idea of
Or
being judgy.
golden palaces in
Yeah.
heaven. Like,
Yeah.
what's real here?
Yeah. Going, you mentioned that about, judgy and things like that. And the truth of the matter is that we already, if we would be honest, if everybody could just go off by themselves, and be really honest, we have already judged ourselves. We've already decided down in our heart of hearts what we are like. I know we say, no, it's going to be good, everything's going to work out, and we try to convince ourselves. But when we're alone and we're by ourselves, we know that we're not right with God. We know that we're not going to measure up. We're only hoping that somehow, some way, there's going to be some mysterious event that's going to occur and everything's going to turn out okay.
A glitch in the system, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
But not that. But see, here's the thing: is that the reason why we know that we are not okay is because of the way that we're living, but we can't do anything about it. This is the big problem.
People don't want to stop living that way.
Well, we can't. We can't stop living that way. See, this is like what was her name?
Lyanna Lee.
You know,
Vote for her.
Lyanna was talking about the homeless situation and those the issues behind homeless situation. And the thing is, because I work on the streets, you know, my life is on the streets all the time. Is I talk to homeless people all the time, and the thing that's in common is that nobody plans to be homeless. Nobody lives and says one day I want to be homeless. It's because of decisions that are made in life on the basis of what we think is good. But it's not good. We know it's not good, but we're hoping that it could turn out good. And it usually ends up to be the thing that knocks us over.
Okay, yeah.
I said it jokingly in a sermon just yesterday. You know, I'd said, you know, my son-in-law was joking about me driving slower. You know, because you're getting old now, and that's why you drive slower, because it takes me longer to get places. They usually run out of the parking lot to go to lunch or whatever, and I'm usually the last one that shows up. I said, no. I said, it's not because I'm older. I said, I've discovered something. It's a magic that's taking place. When I put my seatbelt on every time I get in the car, when I drive the speed limit every time I drive, when I don't roll stop signs, and when and red lights, magic happens. It's like the police begin to look the other way.
When you don't roll stop signs.
When
Well,
I'm not
yeah.
rolling stop signs, when I'm not rolling stoplights, when I'm not traveling faster than the speed limit, when I've got my seatbelt on, it's like the police are not interested in me.
Well, yeah.
It's magic.
Okay.
It's just absolute magic. You know, and I say that sarcastically because the truth of the matter is I'm not breaking the law. That's why they're not interested in me. Because I'm not breaking the law. They're interested in people who are breaking the law. And usually, like how it was before, is that I'm breaking the law in one way, and then I get pulled over, and then I realize, oh, you've been breaking the law in other ways as well. And then all of a sudden, everything comes home to roost. And see, and this is where our problem lies. And so when you're not breaking the law, you don't have problems like that. And so this is the point of salvation, is that salvation, when Jesus comes into your life and he changes you, he turns you into a law-abiding person. And now you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to worry about the breaking of the laws, whether they're moral laws or ethical laws or physical laws. You don't have to worry about any of those things anymore. You can live clean and live right and reap the benefits of that. It's great for me when I go to pay for my insurance and I don't go, well, you know, your insurance could only be this much, but because you got pulled over and you got 3 points on your license and you've got this and you've got that, you know, it's going to cost you 3 times as much as what it would have. You know, it's good. To me, that's a good thing. You know, and multiply that out to your entire life so that your entire life can actually be lived at a discount for everything. I mean, your entire life is at a discount. You're not having to pay the courts. You're not having to pay, lawsuits. You're not having to, spend time in prison. You're not having to do any of those kinds of things. That, to me, that's a great benefit. You know, so talk about selling salvation. It's a great life. You know, oh, but you don't get to do this and you don't get to do that. You don't get to the other thing. Well, like I said, I woke up having used to doing all those things. I woke up the next day and didn't want to do them anymore. So it wasn't that I don't get to do them.
Okay. So if
I just don't want to. So like you said, well, you know, one drink's no big deal. Number one, nobody drinks just one drink, and then that's it.
In life.
One drink is the start of several more drinks through the evening. It's not just, I'm just going to have one drink and everything's fine. You know, there may be people that do that. You have a glass of wine with dinner and something like that. That's fine. But what we're really talking about when we talk about a drinking problem is that we're not talking about people like that, right? We're talking about people who one drink is never enough. So
the topic doesn't come up unless
you can wake up the next morning and one drink, they don't even need one drink. Well, that's heaven on earth.
That would be, yeah.
You know, if that's where you are, or if you're the kind of person who's got other addictions, and you wake up the next morning and those addictions are gone, you know, then you're not talking about, oh yeah, but I want to be able to do this, that, and the other thing, and the other thing, and the other thing. You know. But what if those things are the things that are causing the addictions?
Yeah,
and you get to be
so
free from
immoral.
Well, you get to be free from all that. You know, and the idea, my big question, when I became a Christian, probably one of the biggest questions that I had was, you know, the idea of sex outside of marriage. And the truth of the matter is that really, when you think about it, and it makes perfect sense, is that the issue of sex outside of marriage is really doesn't come home to roost until you get married. because this is the reason why so many people end up in divorce, is because of sex outside of marriage. And what I mean by that is
okay.
they'll kill the marriage because there's somebody else out there. And how do they know there's somebody else out there? Well, because they've had other somebody else's.
They got a lineup.
And so, well, and maybe not go back to their old girlfriends, but they just know that that person exists because they've already been out there and they already know that, oh, I was with this girl and this girl wasn't, she didn't have that kind of problem, or that guy, he wasn't like this or whatever. And so when you're playing the field, then you get to you get to know what kind of players are out there. But that's the problem.
Wow. So once you turn your life over to God, it was just you didn't even. You met your wife not long after that, or you just?
Yeah. Well, no. It wasn't a long time after that.
Because you couldn't be with.
But my point on that
okay.
is that when you're not doing that, when you're not playing that game, you could just make a marriage work. My marriage wasn't perfect. I've been married for 38 years, and my marriage isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I had no intentions of ever leaving it. No matter what happened between us, I had no intentions of ever leaving. So we worked it out. We made it work. And it isn't perfect. It has never been perfect, but it has always gotten better over time. And now, I'm like I said about the idea of living life on a discount. Now at 60 years old, I'm not going to be running around trying to find a girl.
No. Yeah, that's creepy at 60.
It's creepy as a good description. But some people have no choice.
Well, so
they have no choice because of divorce, because of these other issues. And see, so this is what I'm talking about is when you give your life to Jesus and Jesus is able to change you, then you are no longer desirous to do those things that put you in that kind of position later on in life.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But it's not religion.
Just
See,
looking at it.
You got to get the difference between the idea of what religion teaches, which is just try your best and hope for the best.
And check in every week, or
and check in on Sunday.
Make sure you get the ash on your forehead.
But when you're talking about salvation through Jesus Christ, you're talking about Him coming in and changing who you are as a person fundamentally. So now you're fundamentally a different person.
Well, yeah. Well,
very, very different. Very different.
Yeah, as you get older, if you're living foul, it seems to even show even more. As you
well, that's the thing.
You could be 20s, 30s, 40s, and then you reach your 60s. If you didn't stop living foul, it's like you really.
Yeah. See, I'm 60 now.
You can really smell that disgustingness of the person.
Yeah, I'm 60 now, and the number of people that
are my age, you look so fresh.
Well, the number of people that are my age and they're living on medication, and often their medication has been a product of their lifestyle, the lack of good habits, things like that, exercise, things like that, so here I'm at 60. I'm not on any medication. I don't have any regular medication that I take.
Wow.
Because I don't.
That's a good example.
I became a Christian at 21, so I don't have all these habits that I'm having to take the medication for to keep me alive. You see what I'm saying?
I have realized, so when I first started, I was right in that other room, and I was bad news. And somehow, you probably heard I was spread all over the place. I was marketed worldwide. But I didn't do what I was accused of. But I guess I was living a little foul. So,
well, see, that's the thing.
In fact, actually, it was pretty recent, like right before, and I was like, come on. But I guess knowing that, it didn't. But still, I guess knowing that you kind of live foul, you still feel some regret. But and then also, so when I finally got in, because it was like, oh, okay, yeah, evidence cleared you up. It was still like,
after it's been smeared already.
Yeah, so, I figured that's a way to embrace it also, was to be here, like, there's no way out, so I got to embrace it. But the thing is, I started, I never didn't, even when, I did some comedy on stage, and I was like, I'm getting over it, so I need a new outlet, so I would just get drunk in here. I had a guy, Jägerbeast, on the show. When he drinks, he turns into like Jekyll and Hyde thing. And I would get drunk, and then I would have a bunch of like sex shows, like a vagina stunt artist. She'd do things down, dominatrixes. And then the while I was like, I'm just doing this for attention, I guess, because I can't. It's time to be yourself.
Yeah.
So that gets old. God doesn't get old, though. Right?
Well, it's like I said, being 60 years old, and the benefits just continue to roll in year after year after year. The longer that I'm a Christian, the longer I'm glad that I became one. And I've been able to live all over the world. I mean, it's not like I just live in some, back lot somewhere and I've never been anywhere or done anything. I've been able to live in different parts of the world. I've lived in England for 10 years. I lived in Gibraltar, southern coast of Spain, for 5 years. I've traveled all over the world. I've been numbers of times into China and all throughout Asia. And I've been throughout Europe. And as a matter of fact, the only continent that I have not been to yet is South America. But I've been able to go.
You brought your family to all those places.
My family in some of those places, not in every one of them. I mean, I didn't live in all these places. There were places that I would go for a couple of weeks at a time, specifically to go and to tell people about Jesus and about what Jesus had done in my life. And to this day, now I have contacts with people all over the world that they thank me for coming and sharing with them about Jesus because of the change that it brought in their lives. Not a religion. And then that's the thing I've got to really focus on. This is not the idea people were really, really bad people who started becoming really, really good people. I introduced them to Jesus, and they got it, and they realized, this isn't a religion. This isn't about going to church on Sunday. This isn't about, pretending that you're a good person. This is about when God comes inside of you, when Jesus lives inside of you, and then he begins to change you on the inside, and you don't want to be that person anymore. That's the key, is you don't want to be that person. The night that I went to that service reluctant. My friend had invited me, and he'd been inviting me for several weeks. And I said, I'm not interested in this. I do not want to have anything to do with religion. I have no point. There's no point of religion. I've lived 21 years of my life without God in my life. Why do I need him now? But because he was a friend of mine and he was persistent, I was like, all right, I'm going to go. I'll see, because I wasn't afraid of trying different experiences. I had a friend of mine invite me to a punk rock bar, and had a great time.
Invited you out to karaoke
3 or 4 months, and then we went out to the karaoke. I'd never been to a karaoke thing before, and you said that you had gone. I said, let's go, let's see, let's try it. And so that was kind of my attitude with going to church. The difference being is that I hadn't anticipated God actually being there. I anticipated that this would just be another religious experience, another conversation of religious information, people talking about what they believe.
So when you
and that's not what happened.
So when you say when you say God was there, I mean, how do people know this? How do you? Because I feel God. I'm like, what? No, I shouldn't do that.
Okay. So when I walked in, like I said, non-Christian, never been in an environment. I've been in church. Before, and that's why I keep saying this. I've been in church before, never experienced what I experienced that night. Just was never there. I walked in and I felt dirty. I mean, just walking through the front door, I thought, I'm in the wrong place. I don't fit in with what's going on here. I didn't even know what was going on. I just literally walked in the door, but there was the majority of the people there. At that point when I walked in, I thought it was everybody. I realized afterwards that you've got bad apples in every bunch, but when I walked in, I thought these people are serious about this, and most of them were my age. It wasn't like most churches that I've been into where it's like 60 plus, and then you've got kids, who are being forced to go because their parents are making them go, and then you might have a teenager or two, not very many. And that was what I was used to of the times that I had visited, because I did visit churches when I was younger. Friends of mine had invited me, but half a dozen times. I mean, never enough to learn anything. There was nothing to ever learn. So that night, it was like, wow, these people are mostly my age. The majority of the people were my age, and they were clean, but they were not born that way. They were not raised that way. They were like me.
Pretty big church.
They were like me. I have 500 people.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't huge, but so I walked into there, and my friend just started introducing me to various people. And so this is their first time here? Yeah. Oh yeah. And hey, they just right away would just kind of share their history. Before when I came in, I know what it's like. As I was drinking, partying, blah blah blah, this or that, or I was at university. Several people had come right in from university, and different stories of different people from different backgrounds, but all had that same common experience, that they had met Jesus. And so which like I said, I'd never had that experience before. And so looking at all that and thinking, this is the closest I've ever been to anything that seemed real. in terms of religion, again, going back to my thinking. And so it was very clear that, and it was very simple. If you want this, it's available to you. This isn't an exclusive club. You don't have to behave a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
The way in is to meet God. And so it's like, yeah, okay, so how do I do that? My friend and some other people had came around me to pray with me after the service was over, and I just prayed, and I said, if you're real, make yourself real to me. I mean, it was really that simple.
Well, because that's the boss right there. I guess because when people say about judging them, you're just coming from God.
Well, see, that's the thing. This idea of judging, and it's not a Christian's position to judge. We're not called to judge. But judging, it isn't. I don't have to tell you what's right and what's wrong. I have people come to me, and they'll always ask me. They'll say, "Okay, so you're a Christian, right? What do you think about fill in the blank?" And they'll ask me a question, and they already know the standard answer is going to what it's going to be.
They just want some help deciding for themselves.
They want to hear me say it. They want to hear me say, no, that's a sin, and it's a very, very bad thing. And I always say the same thing to every question that's asked me, because it's not always the same thing. Some people will ask me, well, what do you think about homosexuality, or what do you think about, partying? What do you think about, sex outside of marriage? They'll ask me all these kinds of questions, and I always give the same answer. It's sin. It's all sin. But it doesn't matter what your sin is. It all has the same payday in the end, because you're not going to go to heaven living that way. This is not about whose sin is worse. It's not, Dante's Inferno. There's not going to be certain people who are going to be in a really bad hell, and then people are going to be in a not so bad hell. It's a heaven or hell situation, and nobody's going to be in heaven who hasn't been saved. We're not going to save ourselves. We're not going to earn our way. We're not going to do good works. We're not going to check in at church once a week, and that's going to get us in. None of those things will get us in. The only way we're going to get in is if Jesus is living inside of us. Yeah,
Dante's Inferno. That was a movie.
Well, it's a little bit more than movie.
Was Tom Hanks in there?
It's a little bit more than that.
Because that's I have to break up things when Tom Hanks is involved. But so Christian fellowship, it's like every sin is the same in a way. But I think our first talk was.
Let's put it this way: whatever sin you're stuck in, that's your problem.
It's
not. It doesn't matter what the sin is, but if you're stuck in it, that's the problem. And the truth is, we are all stuck in some kind of sin.
Yeah, I think our first talk was that everyone. Adultery is the same in a way. It's like a lot of churches seem more open now.
Yeah, that's actually what he was talking about, the idea of being progressive and the idea of...
Okay, good. Paul said it first. So let's just say it, yeah. I mean, because we say whatever here, but it's not bashing people. It's so in other words, they're open to the orientations and all that stuff.
I love to try to wrap my head around concepts and ideas and things. So I read
weird,
a lot about it.
Because your church is open to these people, but why the flashiness? I mean, just as much as we don't need a flash like what we do outside church.
It's not that. It's the idea. Again, it comes down to this thing of trying to remove laws. Say there are no laws. God is not into laws. But the problem with that is that God is into laws.
Yeah.
It's called the laws of physics, the laws of gravity, the laws of motion.
A little bit of science there.
I mean, we could go on and on about laws. The creation is based on laws.
And I think
laws have natural consequences.
I think people are confused with everyone is allowed in church. Everyone's coming to God, so no matter what you do, I think that's why people make these progressive churches. They feel they actually say, well, these churches are excluding us, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone can go to
Well,
church.
I would.
It's just,
I don't think that's-
it's just you're not going to accept everything. That's all
I
right.
don't think that's the case. I would say that it's more from the standpoint of, like I was saying, is the idea, which, I mean, if you think about it, really isn't. It isn't where we want to go. Is you have this narrow definition of something, okay, but within that narrow definition of something is a good thing. Well, then we should open up the definition of that, make it bigger, and then it will become a better thing. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's the narrow definition that makes the thing good. So when you open up the definition, you actually make the good thing bad. Like a lot of the things you're talking about in the city. What makes, you mentioned about the CVS is shutting down. Why are the CVS shutting down? Are they not making any money here?
And
Are they not turning a profit?
Too much effort when you're getting robbed left and right.
But see, this is what I mean. Is so they've opened up the rules. So now it's okay to steal up to $900. I think it is. That's okay. Now. So
$950.
Okay. So now you have people that are going to go in, and it's legal for them to do this now. And now CVS says, yeah, we don't want to function in that environment. And so now they leave. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is the problem with the idea of progressivism. Is the idea is that by opening up the definitions of things, you make it seem as if things are going to get better, but they don't get better. They get worse. And that's the problem, is that you cannot have a definition get larger and for things to get better in the process. It doesn't work that way. It's the more defined reality that, when could you imagine, so here you are going to a university, and the university says, listen, it's possible for you to come to this university and get perfect grades, but we're going to let you decide what that means.
Hey,
What do you think's going to happen when you come out of that university? You're going to come out of that university and you're going to believe that you are better off than when you went in. But are you? Absolutely not.
Sounds like me in special ed.
There's no difference.
Well, in some respects, you're worse.
Yeah.
There's
no difference. See, there's no difference when you start removing definitions, or wanting to redefine things. You aren't making things better. You're making things worse.
You make it sound like my whole special ed life. They said, well, I wanted to learn after a while. I realized, holy smokes, I haven't learned anything. It took until sophomore year of high school, and they said, oh no, the deal is, if you just act right, you'll get great grades, and it'll seem like you learned a lot. I'm like,
see,
what?
And that's the key. See, but you don't learn anything, do you? I mean, and that's
I feel so dumb now.
So that's
but I graduated with flying colors.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my point in this, and it's not. I'm not anti progressivism from the standpoint of their desire, because the desire is wanting to try to open up things.
It is more and more and more.
People,
yeah.
But you can't open up things to a larger group of people by redefining terms or by trying to make things more nebulous. They need to be more defined. They need to be more clear. Like I said about the idea of, so when I became a Christian and realized, for me, I'm going to get married. I'm going to have a family. I don't want to wreck that future event. So now I have a working definition. Keep my hands out of other women's pants.
Yeah.
I've got a working definition now for a successful marriage. And now I can say, at 60 years old, having been married for 39 years, that definition worked. And it didn't just work for me. It works. That's the thing, is it works when you stay committed to a marriage. And I know, and I've heard it a million. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while. Is all the what ifs. Listen, marriage is difficult.
What if isn't a path? Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't what if everything. I mean, you have to start having some things that will work. And then like the I think one of the, because I look at it, the homeless issue. I didn't really finish on that. The whole idea of the homeless issue, is homeless. She mentioned it. But she didn't quite mention it right. She used the word snap out of it. Well, how are they going to snap out of it when they don't even know they've snapped into it? You know, it's been subtle over time, decisions and situations and circumstances.
Because those rules and those boundaries have been pushed out.
They've been pushed
It
out.
takes a little-
From those norms to where now that's normal.
And now you have people that are saying, I did everything that is supposed to be okay, but look where it got me.
A lot of these people need work, you know, a whole home ec sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I
agree to a point, but the bottom line is I remember, because I was a druggie, is that I
Ooh,
didn't want to work.
okay. I
didn't
don't remember
wanna
this
work.
too much. All
I
right.
didn't want to work.
Well, yeah, no, you don't. You don't
it's
want
like
to
if I
work,
can make
yeah.
money without working, who wants to work? You know, so the idea of a work ethic that was something I learned after I became a Christian. That the idea of a work ethic was so necessary to actually working. You know, is to understand I need to work for my well-being. You know, that you can't live on vacation. You ask any. Why do you think people like Jeff Bezos and other wealthy people, why don't they just go buy an island somewhere and go away and say, you know what, I'm done with this. I've got $4 billion, I've got $50 billion, I got $100 billion. I don't need another dime, and I don't care about the rest of the world. I'm just going to go live on an island. Why? Because they know that that's not going to be any good. They know that they could do that for a couple of years, and then that's it. You know, it's finished. No, they need to be productive. They understand, they get this. They've made a lot of money because they've discovered the secret of being productive. That's the key. You be productive and the money will come to you. You don't have to go find the money. The money will come to you if you're productive.
Gosh, that's got to be nice, though, yeah.
You know? And but then you begin to realize, if I stop being productive, well, then everything's going to go away.
Well, there's an ethic how people are raised, too. For me.
The simple point that I'm making in that
yeah.
is that a homeless person doesn't have that. They don't have that frame of reference. And so how are they going to get that frame of reference? They're not going to snap out of it one day. They're not going to just wake up and go, you know what, I need a good work ethic.
Yeah, and we are talking about people who their lives just...
No.
So
something has
to
happen.
They didn't get that from the beginning either. Yeah, they just...
something has to happen, and that's why I'm, I know that Jesus is the answer.
Because that's why it's not just temporary for them. Like, they actually need more help thrown in there.
Jesus is the answer, because, like I said, when he lives inside of you, the light comes on.
Well, I do think...
And that's the snapping into place. That's the snapping out of it, is that you get this understanding. Life was supposed to be lived a whole other way than we're living it. And then when you get that, and you understand life was supposed to be lived another way, and you get that, and then you begin to live that life, you think, I can speak out of my own personal experience. It was like, okay, how come nobody ever told me this before? How come I had to wait until I was 21 years old to hear something so simple, that Jesus is real, and that he would make himself real to me, and that when he does, he will change my life? How come I never heard that? How come that message never got to me? And it just doesn't make any sense.
That was the first time ever.
That was the first time. And I had visited churches, and I never heard that message. Nobody ever tried to convince me to become a Christian in the churches that I went to. Nobody ever came to me and said, you should be a Christian. As far as they were concerned, I was just as much of a Christian as they were. They didn't even know the difference. When I went to work, I go to work, and I started telling people I became a Christian. All of a sudden, my workplace is full of Christians. People I had worked with for 8 months and never once told me that they were Christians. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a Christian, and I'm telling everybody, hey, this is a great thing. You should check it out for yourself. And they'll be, oh, I'm already a Christian. And oh, really? How come you didn't tell me?
I keep telling Tony to come by. All right, get that
right.
one night.
Yeah. But to me, that's the thing. That's the thing that it's the difference that makes a difference. And for me, I have to say, it's incredibly frustrating. I keep doing it because I am very hopeful. But the number of people that come up to me and say, you know what? This is why I'm not a Christian. And I finally open up a dialogue with them, and they start to converse with me. It always comes down to the same thing. It's always, I was at a church as a kid. I saw the hypocrisy. I saw the nonsense. And I just said, you know what? I got better things to do with my life than to waste my time going to church. And I sympathize with them.
And then to you, that would be wasting time.
What?
Doing whatever else they're going to do.
Not when it comes to what they were, not if the choice was between religion and what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
No,
yeah,
absolutely not. No. They made the right choice, because that's not going to get them anywhere. Playing religious games, going to church and punching your time card and having beliefs and things like that you're not actually living.
You might as well
It's
do.
a waste of
Yeah,
time.
okay.
You might as well. In
Might as
fact,
well.
it was funny because it was when I was pastoring in Liverpool, England, and there was a couple that was going to our church, an older couple that was going to the church. They had a son who was not a lot younger than me, and he's like, I don't care if I go to hell. I don't really care about any of that kind of stuff or Christianity or anything like that. And so I said, okay, cool, fine. I said, well, then why are you holding back? And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, if I were you, and that's what I truly believed, I'd be getting everything out of this life I could. I'd be lying, cheating, stealing, doing everything, because you've got no afterlife that's worth
what's
a
the
dime.
point? Yeah.
So what's the point in trying to hold back? Why not just throw yourself into sin and have a great time? And if it kills you at 30 years old, who cares? You've had a great 30 years.
Well, yeah, because
You know what he said to me? He said, I've never heard a pastor say that before.
well,
And it's like, no, that's just called logic.
that's why I don't see how monks could be any good, because you have to put yourself in the darkness at times. You have to be out there in order to make that community, put the word out.
Well, we
You can't
have
just-
seen historically what that produces, and it's not good. That's the Catholic Church has had to deal with that for years. It's that you can't, you can't. Let's put it this way: we weren't created to live, in the shadows of life. We were created by God to live life,
Gosh,
not to go into the shadows.
imagine being like that and still not making it to heaven. Gosh, that's
Well,
gosh.
and honestly,
Gosh,
it's a thought that I have very seriously considered, and I've had opportunities to talk to celibate priests and tell them, listen, man, you don't have to be like that. That's not that God doesn't make us like that. God didn't. That's not from God to tell us that we had to be celibate all the rest.
Yeah,
of
yeah, you're not talking about fooling around, but like,
Yeah, there's-
I never understood why they can't find a mate.
But again,
you know?
this is religion. See, this is religion. Religion takes a person, shoves them into pigeonholes them into something that doesn't fit them.
Gosh, they make
And so
God.
this is the way to do it.
They make God sound so boring. Those people.
Worse than boring, I'd say.
Jeez.
Sadistic.
Yeah.
Here you go. Look at all those pretty women, and you can't have any of them.
Gosh, I could just imagine me in my little monk dorm, like, oh, I want to do this so bad. Ooh.
And
Gosh,
and what motivates them is not wrong. The motivation, they want to be pleasing to God, stuff like that. But that kind of teaching.
All right. So,
Keep going.
oh, okay.
You just lost video. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we're almost done, but I keep hearing about. I feel the connection with God, but well, I mean, I got the connection, Ellie. So
Well, see, that's
I
what I'm
got the
talking
connection
about.
part, but well, I mean, there's always, yeah, we could go into the work with that, but what I'm getting at is so the people out there. Wow, heaven and hell. Why should they be worried about hell?
Why should they be worried about it?
Yeah, I mean, what?
Your
Go ahead and open your code. Sorry.
Oh, my code. Okay, yeah, I got the.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
my
I didn't
code.
mean to cut into your
Yeah.
conversation.
Well,
Okay.
why should they be worried about this here? Because like,
Well,
what's the
Because
this thing right here?
This is the thing that is.
I already know heaven's
makes it-
golden palaces.
Well, it makes it so difficult to try to communicate things. Is that when you know the consequence of a thing, okay? When you know the consequence of a thing, you can't complain about that. Could you imagine a bunch of people complaining and wanting to go picket against gravity? They
Yeah.
want to start an anti-gravity community, where we don't believe in gravity. It's not going to change anything. Gravity is still gravity. And so when it comes to the issues of heaven and hell, these are not outdated folk stories. It's part of the story. It is a part of it. Heaven and hell, creation, God creating us, having a personal relationship, all of these things are all part of the story. And the religions that have popped up over the years to try to prove that hell doesn't exist and different doctrines and different ideas. And I've had conversations with people that claim to have sort of a scholarly sort of position on these kinds of things. And it's like, listen, you have to bury your head in the sand in order to believe these kinds of things, because they're part of the story. There's no getting around it. I mean, whether you think it's a ugly part of the story or not doesn't matter. It is the story. You know, I don't believe a loving God would ever send anybody to hell.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can believe that, but you have the book.
So
that's what it says.
That's
you know, you can't make your own God.
People like to cater. So when I got into, I want to have pastors on. I had Michelangelo Watkins. Hey, Michelangelo Watkins was one of them. He's showing about they have the Queen James.
Yeah.
So everyone has their different things they want to. They want in the Bible.
Yeah. But think about that whole idea. So you have the King James Bible.
And they just reversed it.
It's an English translation from the original Greek and Hebrew languages. Okay, and that's all it is. It's not a book that was put out by King James, by England, to start a new religion. It was a translation of the Greek and Hebrew scriptures, and so those have already existed. So now we have a book that is a translation of the Greek and Hebrew scriptures. We're not talking about making our own book. You know, it wasn't the Greeks and the Hebrews decided, hey, let's get together and let's start a religion. No, these are the writings that have gone through history. You know, the writings of Moses, all the way through. You have all these writings, the writings of the apostles. All these things are just simply compiled together into a book we call the Bible. But this is not, hey, a bunch of guys got together and decided to write a Bible. This is not what happened.
Yeah.
And we know this at a scientific level. You know, this is not just a religious level. At a scientific level, we have, you know, you can go and do history, you know, to look up history when these particular books are reading. They're estimated to have written at such and such a time, you know, and so there's archaeological data, you know. So these are not things that are, you know, all that religion thing. I mean, think about it. I mean, the Bible is worldwide. You know, it's not like it's only in America.
They love to say it's written by men.
Well, you can say that. You can say it was written by men, and you would be correct from the standpoint of course, it's pen and paper, and definitely a human hand. Obviously, pen and paper would be papyrus or, you know, whatever material was used and whatever writing instrument they use, of course. But you have to understand that this is chronicle. This is not. We're not talking about something that some religious group came up with. This is just something that simply exists, and it has existed. And if you just read the story, I mean, see, that's the thing, is that I hear all these things all the time. People, it's just this and it's just that, and the Bible this and the Bible that. And I try to stop them, and I said, what you said isn't true. And they go, don't tell me it's not true. And you don't understand. I'm not telling you personally my opinion is that's not true. I'm telling you that's not true. What you just said, the statement that you made it's not true. You made a statement that is something you made up. You made that up and said this is how things happen. It's not based on evidence. There's a book, it's Sapiens. So it's almost kind of like an atheist's Bible called Sapiens. And yet in the book, he'll write about religious history, and he's just making things up. He says so. It probably happened like this. He uses words like that. It probably happened like this. This kind of a thing happened. We know this kind of thing and this kind of thing. So because we know this and this probably happened. But they're all suppositions. They're all suppositions. But he speaks as if he's using actual historical documentation and references. It's not. And see, and this is the problem, is that what I'm talking about, knowing God and having a personal relationship with God, reading the Bible and understanding the truth of God's word, these are very, very simple things. But it's been clouded by religion and in hearsay and all kinds of things that keep people from knowing a very, very simple truth, is that God is not far from any one of us.
Well, yeah, like I hear all the time, why would God let all these horrible things happen if he was such a good God that I should follow?
Yeah.
I don't want to follow someone like that.
And I've heard that so many times that I formulated an answer. Would you have liked, when you were growing up, for your parents, okay, and I know your history a little bit, so let's change the history a bit.
Okay.
Your parents said, you are going to school, you are going to get good grades, You don't have a choice in the matter. When you wake up in the morning, you are going to make your bed, you're going to clean your room, you're going to wash your clothes, you're going to make your own food, and you were demanded without option that you had no choice but to do all those things. Would you call that a utopian life?
One ear out the other. I wouldn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, but that's what people want. They want a God like that. They want a God who says, you can only do what I say. You cannot do anything else but what I say.
Until it would actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because once it happened, it'd be like, no, I don't like this life. I'd rather have the suffering. Because now I can't do anything.
Yeah, it's everyone. Well, that's our journey.
My whole life is already predetermined. I just have to go from A to B to C to D because I have no options.
No one would have their own journey. In fact, I feel like...
Yeah, see, that's another thing. You're getting ready to talk about the idea of dreams. Well, this is the idea, is that destiny. Every one of us, God created us with a destiny. Not everybody's going to experience that destiny. But it's the best thing for our lives.
I like that God more.
Everyone's going to experience it.
I want a God that lets me have a journey more than...
But think about if you didn't have an option and you had to fulfill that destiny, it wouldn't be a big deal anymore. See, these are the kinds of things that people just don't think out when they say this kind of stuff about God and about who God is. They just don't. They don't actually sit down and think through the ideas behind this. And I have, because at 21 years old, I've had an education. I've learned some things, and now I'm confronted with with Christianity, the Bible, and having had a developed thinking, or a pre-developed thinking. I wasn't raised with some sort of Christian ideology. And so now I can look at this and I hear the things that people say and I think, why do you say these kinds of things? It's silliness to say these kinds of things, because if you just sat down and thought through, you could come up with this answer on your own why things aren't like you think they should be. You could see it for yourself.
Yeah, I guess I never...
I mean, something as simple as, okay, what if the whole world was homosexual?
Then,
game over.
Gosh, that would be...
Game over. There's nothing left. One generation and it's over. God makes 1 million homosexuals, and then so many hundreds of years later, it's all over. And so you have to see that you cannot try to take your life and your existence and extrapolate that out into a world of 7.5 billion people and say, this is the way things ought to be. You just can't do that. So what do? You have to find out how things are. And that's what I've done. Becoming a Christian, I've discovered God created the world. The world is governed by law. It's governed by order. God does love people, but God will let those people that he loves make the decisions that they want to make and possibly find themselves in hell for all eternity because of those decisions. But he gives them that free will and that ability to be able to make those decisions so they can fully express who they are in this life, even if that means that they end up not expressing anything at all. It's the ultimate freedom. But if you will surrender that freedom for God's way, that's when you truly become free. It's an ultimate freedom because you are choosing the right path. And then you get to experience the benefits of that right path. And then you begin to realize, like I said, the joke that I made about the law, you begin to realize, hey, the police don't have anything to do with me anymore. I'm not paying fines and fees and spending time in prison and losing relationships and getting divorced and this is and that's and the other. I'm not having to live those things anymore. It's a great benefit.
Yeah, I like that "not anymore" part. Ooh, that was getting hectic.
That's why I'm not a big fan of trying to change things. It's like, no, I think God did a pretty good job the way he made things. You might not think so when you try to razor blade out little slivers of life. But when you start to see it across the big picture, you begin to realize, no, this is the best way. And even being that we're here in San Francisco, people do love San Francisco.
Yeah,
what do they love about San Francisco?
The freedom?
But that freedom is costing. That freedom is costing, but there really is something about the history of San Francisco. And the truth is the history of San Francisco is kind of decadent. You had the whole first the gold rush, but then what's it called? Oh, come on,
human trafficking.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean,
Human
I'm going back a few
There we
hundred
go.
years.
I don't know if we ever.
Like Shanghai Kelly and how they would the
Yeah.
trade with them.
Well, I was trying to, there's a
I don't know.
phrase for it.
I don't know how much time we got to get into human trafficking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, my point being is that a lot of these things that were the things that made San Francisco famous, they actually had a dark side to them.
Oh well, yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that was what made it beneficial, but that freedom
And you need
it allowed for that,
yeah.
even though there were bad consequences that came with it. And even now, where we're having to, so we've got to fix some things here, and we're looking at the things to fix. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, but what we should do is take away people's right to choose. That's you can't
Okay.
you can't go there. You
Uh,
can't go there. But the people have to have a voice, and I think that's going.
Is
back to
that the abortion, or we're just saying in general?
Everything.
Yeah, that fits in general. Okay.
Everything. There
Well,
are
'cause
things that we have to decide at a. It has to be. People have to be able to make these personal.
Well, because along with abortion, they're mad because they want the gay marriage to be abolished again, and nah.
Well, see, and that's the thing is as a Christian pastor, I was never for trying to make to boycott gay marriage. Never. My attitude was, fine. You want to get married? Get married. That's what you want to do. But your getting married is not going to change what happens within that kind of relationship. That relationship will be the same.
I get that, yeah.
There's no magic in having a piece of paper that says you're married. You're still going to have to deal with all the repercussions of what that's going to mean for those two people. It's the same with regular marriage. And that was one of the things that almost right away, the first couple that got married ended up getting divorced within 3 years or something like that. So it's the big thing, we're moving on, and then they get divorced.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, as a people, we evolve, right? Does
What is this?
Well, I would have to describe
Jesus's
evolve.
views evolve, or does your church views evolve? Because, like you said, God makes. Well, we as people make laws.
Yeah.
And we follow those laws,
Right.
but then there's times where we change laws.
Yeah, that's because we're imperfect.
We are.
Yeah, and so some laws that we make are mistakes.
So this is God giving us enough rope to hang ourselves?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I don't think God
But
did
like I
change
said,
it.
That's a really crude way of
yeah.
me putting
Well,
it. But
no, I don't have a problem with it being said that way, because the issue of God giving us enough rope to hang ourselves is also giving us enough rope to become successful as well. You can't have one without the other. Could you see? This is
getting pretty deep, isn't
well,
it?
because I was going to go somewhere which I really didn't want to go, because these are all hot button ideas. But this is the people will try to point to, communism or socialism as an answer, but then when you look at the countries that have implemented communism and socialism, it always leads to the same thing: it is a dictatorship.
Right.
Okay, it's never for the people. The people never rise up
not a
and
democracy
become.
at all, right?
Well, by definition, it's not a democracy.
Right.
Communism is not a democracy.
Right.
It can't be a democracy because, in a sense, communism is nobody's in charge, because everybody's in charge. Communism is more akin to anarchy than it is to democracy.
Right.
And so that's why I said I didn't want to go there, because they're really deep stuff. But my point being in all of that is that you've got mankind. You said that you talked about mankind evolving. It's because we're imperfect. God doesn't have to evolve because He's perfect, and so there's no need for his growth, because God doesn't need to grow. He is perfect by definition. Okay, and so that's the issues. Is when you begin to look at things from that standpoint of the definitions of things. God is eternal, immortal, all-knowing, all-powerful, all of those attributes and things like that. By definition, that has to be the case. You can't have a created being above us, because then who created that being? So you have to have, at some point, you have to have, you always have to start, as hard as the human brain is to try to grasp this, you always have to start with infinity. You can never start at some time frame. You can't say, well, this is the beginning. No, what about what happened before? You know, like one of the greatest scriptures in the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay. Well, what happened before the beginning? That's all.
This is before Adam and Eve.
Question.
Is that why we differentiate between BC and AD?
Well, that's about Christ predominantly. That's the idea of before Christ,
yeah.
after Christ.
New and
I've
Old
tried to change
Testament.
all of that, but the idea is that, which is I think is kind of humorous
But
when you
Christ
think
is
about
God,
it.
right?
Right, but the idea Anno Domini, you know,
Yes.
so the whole idea is this is after. So the idea is when God came to earth. That's the whole idea. BC and AD is a reference point for when God came to earth. That's the idea. In the
It's
form of
not
Jesus.
necessarily
Not the beginning of something.
Not the beginning of our universe. that we
Right,
know.
correct. Yeah, no. Yeah, because we have thousands of years BC before Jesus, and you have and again we could get into the whole, is it young earth, old earth, and all these kinds of philosophies and things, but the idea is you have a time frame before Jesus which is completely historically chronicled, and so we know that's not before time.
Right.
That is during time. And so, but the key being in the beginning. When you say in the beginning, no matter what you say about in the beginning, when you try to talk about it at an evolutionary standpoint, okay, there is no evolutionary standpoint. There is no God, and Darwinian evolution. There is no God. In the beginning, what? What do you do with that first point? You have to have a first point. You can't not have a first point. Time is measured in time, so you have to have the first nanosecond or smallest fraction that you want, but you're still going to have to come up with, okay, what was before that? Because you can't just have some random moment where time began.
So then what about the beginning of the Bible, Genesis?
Yeah.
In the beginning there was light.
Right. Well, in the beginning, God created
that's the
light.
7 days.
God created light.
Yeah. But that's the establish of
So,
when
look.
the infinite moved into the finite.
So we could actually have you're saying that might have been our beginning, but that wasn't God's beginning.
Correct, because God doesn't have a beginning.
Right.
But because our minds just don't grasp that concept.
Like we were just talking about, it's funny, in the beginning there was light,
Right. Yeah,
he
yeah,
created
yeah,
light.
yeah.
And I always think of, here's the scientist guy inside of me,
Right.
always thinking about, oh, that's the Big Bang.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's fine, but that science only comes into play that fraction of a
Right.
moment when time began.
Yeah, we only
Not
have the
before.
We only have the Big Bang Theory. We don't have young Sheldon, or in this case, young God.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What
If
if?
following, or if no
Yeah,
one is.
yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
I don't look
Yeah.
at Luke.
So
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I watch nerds.
That's the idea. Is you have to start with the infinite. You have to start with the infinite because it's the only way. And we know this conceptually because we know this with numbers and math. Is we know that infinity is a constant. Okay, we actually, it's funny. I was reading a book the other day. I can't remember what the book was, but it was talking about the idea of some of the theories of things.
Time.
And so the idea
okay.
being that in some of these like string theory and things like that, to get answers for things they have to use infinity as part of the definition. So even from a scientific standpoint, there has to be.
Right. Okay, so that makes sense.
But
But when you start talking seriously about infinity, you have to start talking seriously about something superhuman. You can't talk about something subhuman, which is where atheism goes. It goes to the subhuman, dirt. That was the eternal thing. That was the eternal beginning. Dirt that never existed. They use the phrase dark matter. And textbooks still struggle with this to this very day, with the idea that you have this moment where nothing materialized, and then that's when everything started happening. And so you have this, even if you give it a fraction of a second for this to all happen, nothing materializes and then condenses and then explodes. And so it's not a full theory, and can by definition never be a full theory. And I know that many, that are sold out to atheism, they can't go there. But it really comes down to, okay, in the beginning dirt that materialized out of nothing, or in the beginning God that materialized out of nothing? Which one is the more, logical? I mean, you really, when you think about it, we know what dirt is. We have a full concept of dirt. We know dirt doesn't do anything. We know dirt doesn't just appear and disappear randomly throughout the day.
It takes someone to make that dirt.
So you have to go with the idea of something that we don't understand and call it God. Okay?
Ooh.
And then from there, it's not a super, super far step to get from there to the idea of, if that God exists and he has manifested himself to his creation, then we can know it.
Well, we got to wrap things up here. I think, no one ever talks about it. What if Adam, or what if Eve would have ate the snake instead?
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of
women, right?
What if?
Women.
Well, yeah. Well, let's not go there.
Come on, women, right?
That's 2 hours.
That's the truth of the matter is that I don't have, There's a lot of I've actually preached. So just a couple of things that I would like to, in case anybody's actually really listening to us
you got
here.
people listening, and they will later.
The Door San Mateo, if you look that up on YouTube, I've preached tons of sermons. I put all my sermons up there, and I encourage you to go through and read some of my sermons and make contact with me. And if you have questions, get in contact with me. I'm not going to try to give you all the details of who I am and stuff on the podcast. The Door San Mateo, if you put that in on YouTube, you'll find me. And then just there's information on there. You can get to the website from there. You can get phone numbers, all that kind of stuff by if you'll start with just searching the Door San Mateo on YouTube. And listen, I am well open to conversation. I don't have a problem with anybody in terms of how they feel about things. I don't think people are stupid. I'm quite open to talk about this, because I know 21 years of my life I didn't know any of this stuff. And then when I discovered it, it was like, how come nobody told me this?
All right. The Door Christian Fellowship, just the Door San Mateo, YouTube.
Enough, but it's a church. Door Christian Fellowship, San Mateo. You'll see there will be a blue TD. Is our symbol, our logo. It's in a white circle with it says TD.
And here's the pastor, Pastor Ford.
And do you have a website for your church?
I do.
Go ahead, shout it out.
Okay, thedoorfellowship.com. Cool. And if you are in the San Carlos area, please feel free to show up, and we would love to have you. And like I said, I love talking about this. I don't think anybody's an idiot, and I'm open. I love talking about it.
Yeah, you could be very timid, and someone right when you walk in will usher you to the back seat till you make your way on, but to the front seat. Right? I only sit in the back because I had my certain row that I like all the way on
escape row.
On the left. Well, it's the one that has to be. It has to be all the way on the other side there.
Right. Everybody gets their own.
No other back seat counts.
It's an exit strategy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my mom's been there more than once. She doesn't. You might not see her. She ducks out.
Sneak out.
That's what's really happening. Tune in next week, 4 to 6 Mondays.
You had the pastor on with you today, as well as District 4.
Yeah, Lyanna Lee.
There you go.
Thanks for the pizza, Lyanna.
Oh.
And vote for her.
Pizza.
No, you gotta keep in touch with the fundraisers. That is amazing. She had a fundraiser where there was free stuff, and it worked because I was like, I need to donate because I'm getting all this free stuff. That's a good strategy instead of just walking in, and you're like, oh no, I'm being attacked by donating.
I think it's time to go.
No, you can be.
Same as
Trying to do that to you too.
I saw your exit.
same as the door
Like,
church.
hey, time to go.
You don't feel attacked. You feel like
try not to.
make yourself at home at the door Christian Fellowship. And
Well, thanks
what's
for
really happening?
Appreciate it. Had a good time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't even.
No.
Okay.
Say goodbye to
Right.
all your fans.
Bye.
Bye. All right, you guys, you've been listening to original content from edgestudiosonline.com. Thank you for tuning in. We'll get you back to original